Good morning. I'm Marick Masters, and welcome to Presidential Election Watch, September the 3rd, 2024. I'll be providing a few of these watches between now and Election Day on November the 5th to give you updates on the status of the campaign. A lot has changed in the past few weeks, and we'll be trying to keep up with things as these developments unfold. Professor of Business Emeritus, a commentator, a podcaster. You can reach me at this email address, mastersmarick@gmail.com, and find me on YouTube at Marick Masters. I hope you'll subscribe. The topics covered today are presidential polling, Realclearpolitics, dueling narratives, the Electoral Map, where the election will be decided, and perception versus reality, money in media. The two-way polling from Realclearpolitics between Harris and Trump shows the election is still very close. There's just a spread of 1.8% across the various polls that are averaged in this summary presentation. Be careful which poll you look at because there are a variety of concerns about some polls versus others. So-called high-quality polls are usually just more expensive. Other polls may have response or sample biases depending upon how the data are collected. So it's really important to get into the weeds before you sanction any given poll. And a lot of weight needs to be given to how these polls get on the rankings to begin with to come up with the cumulative average. The five-way race is similarly close. Kennedy has dropped out but will remain on ballots in some states, including Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina, I believe. He is trying to get off the ballots in as many states as possible and thrown his support to Trump and could be a deciding factor in this election. But Harris has a slight lead now, and both of these polls, the two-way and five-way race, unless one candidate or the other breaks out of the margin of error in these overall results, it's likely that the election outcome will depend upon the distribution of votes, who can get out the votes much more than the other on the key battleground states. And this provides you with an electoral map based on Realclearpolitics as of September the 2nd, 2024. And the outcome will depend upon the results, who's able to get out the vote, and among their supporters to the greatest extent in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada. So it's going to be a very close election, just like it was in the last two. And it's really important that the candidates in this regard have enough money to spend on getting out the vote and shaping the narrative to drum up as much enthusiasm as possible. And this brings us to the topic of how much money they have, because perception is reality in politics. And it takes a lot of money to convey your message through the media and shape perceptions. And this gives you an idea based on Open Secrets, the data that they have about the money raised by the Democratic Party at this point in time versus the Republican Party. You can see in cash on hand, the parties are relatively close in the amount of money that they still have available to spend. And this shows you, based on Open Secrets data, again, the amount of money that the candidates themselves have raised. Harris has raised $754 million. Trump has raised $574 million. This includes from funds raised by their candidate committees and outside money, which is reported to varying extents according to federal election laws. The narratives to watch in this campaign are pretty clear-cut. There's a narrative of radicalism with Trump trying to paint Harris as a Marxist, Harris trying to paint Trump as a dictator. There are competing narratives with Harris being identified as a woke and Trump being identified as a weirdo. And then you have capability issues with age versus competence. You'll hear a lot of these as the candidates try and shape or define the others in the upcoming weeks ahead. A little bit about myself. You can see that I've had a career in academia. I've had extensive administrative experience. I've also been a former candidate for the U.S. Congress. I ran for office in 1992 for the Democratic nomination in the old 18th Congressional District in Pennsylvania. I've written books on unions and conflict resolution and negotiations. I'm working on a book now on the new UAW and the comeback of Richard Nixon. You can find me at my email address or on my YouTube channel. I hope you'll subscribe. Thank you for listening today, and I look forward to providing you with the next update next week. Take care and have a good day.